To gain the ability to walk in the land of dreams, many ponies would expect there to be some complicated spell or ritual. They believed to have required complicated long incantation and the sacrifice of seasonal fruits and vegetables on some long-forgotten altar. But for Luna, entering the world of dreams was no more complicated than turning her head. Like she was flexing a muscle, Luna made the sights and sounds of the castle's medical wards fade. She grew numb to the real world and let the dreams come into focus. It was an ethereal soup of fantasies and nightmares that swirled and bubbled around her like the stars in the night sky. Luna could see many such points of light behind her, representing the many sleeping minds in Canterlot. But one dream was far closer than all the others. A single dream that hung and floated in the room she had been standing in. It was the dream of the mysterious unicorn, and Luna stepped toward it. Like she was walking into the ocean, each step made her sink further into the dream. She did it with grace, it glanced only as the cooler air of the dream washed over her coat. Her head reached the surface of the dream, which shimmered like water reflecting a perfect full moon. She neither took breath nor shut her eyes. She just continued to wade deeper and deeper. She floated for a short time as the dream began to account for her presence. She felt her hooves touch solid ground, and soon she had settled into her role. This was how she normally viewed dreams, as nothing more than an observer, watching behind the mask of some aspect of a pony's dream. For young Scootaloo, she had watched from behind the silhouette of the mare and the moon. For this dream, however, she was one of thousands, a member of a faceless crowd of ponies who were nothing more than silhouettes. This was a common feature of dreams. The pony's mind crafted only what was important, only manifested the details it needed. For the dream, the unicorn needed to be in a crowd of ponies, but there was no need for each pony to have a face, name, or cutie mark of their own. The crowd was important, not the ponies within. And where the crowd was looking seemed to be important as well. All eyes were turned outwards, and Luna looked in the same direction as she began to take note of her surroundings. They were in Canterlot, in the largest of the castle courtyards. The crowd was focused on the balcony, the same balcony where Shining and Cadence first greeted the world as husband and wife. And above that, hanging in the sky, was a sight that Luna hadn't seen first hoof. The moon was shining above Equestria, but upon it was the shadowy silhouette of a regal mare with a long horn. The mare and the moon. Mostly in the periphery of her vision made Luna look back to the balcony, where she saw a similar stallion stepping to the edge of the railing. A megaphone was brought out for his use, and soon his voice was ringing through the night. "Mares and Jellicles of Canterlot! I, in shining armor, Canterlot acting captain of the guard. And it is my duty to announce that Princess Luna and Princess Celestia have been defeated." A hushed murmur echoed through the crowd to the truest form. The ponies around Luna and the crowd made no real words, just mumbles and whinnies to fake the sound of conversation. But through the murmurs, Luna heard one true voice. She looked in this direction and saw the one pony in the crowd that was more than a silhouette. The unicorn whose dreams she had entered was standing just feet away, listening to Shining Armor's words with a look of disbelief. Their defeat came at the hooves of Nightmare Moon, who, during the night, overwhelmed the castle guard before making her way to the throne room. There, she bested Princess Celestia in single combat, then waited for Princess Luna to return. Both princesses are now imprisoned in the sun and moon, respectively. Luna began working her way closer to the unicorn, all the while listening to Shining Armor. This speech, she had heard it from some of the castle staff. This was the speech Shining had given to all of Canterlot when Nyx took power, one of many similar proclamations that had been made all across Equestria. "Nightmare Moon has hereby decreed herself Queen of Equestria," Shining Armor continued, his voice carrying through various undertones. "Let it be known that much of the Canterlot Royal Guard, including myself, has sworn allegiance to our new queen and to join in the blessings shared by the children of Nightmare. Also know, I will personally ensure that law and order are maintained, Any attempts at rebellion will be punished. Shining paused, causing Luna to glance in the direction of her nephew-in-law and the guards surrounding him. While their features had been vague at the dream's start, as the mind focused, so did the details of Shining Armor's appearance. Luna could now see that Shining, and all those who stood on the balcony, shared a single defining feature. Their eyes were exact matches to Nightmare Moon's. Lastly, Shining said, let it be known that Nightmare Moon has declared that Equestria has seen its last sunrise. This night will last forever! Luna was now standing next to the unicorn, and was able to hear him shout with much of the crowd, trying to protest the words he had just heard. It looked like as if old Canterlot was ready to rebel in that moment. But it seemed Shining had predicted this. With snapped steps and firm glares, the bulk of Canterlot's royal guard surrounded and began to march through the crowd. Pegasi also patrolled the skies and dive-bombed the crowd, all with Shining's show of force. You are all now to return to your homes, Shining shouted. Our curfew is now in effect at Canterlot. No ponies to be out in the streets between 10 and 5 a.m. A pony found violating this rule after today will face an extended stay in the dungeons. The threat of incarnation under the new regime of Nightmare Moon was enough of a threat. The crowd calmed, and under the castle guard's stern gaze, began to disperse peacefully. The unicorn Luna was following seemed to be going with the flow as well. He still seemed unable to comprehend what was happening was real, but he still moved with the crowd toward the gates. Come on, keep going! Another voice, a new voice, rang out clearly in the dream. Both the unicorn and Luna looked to his owner. It was a mare, though she was not a bat pony like some. She still wore the dark blue colors of the Luna Guard. Her face, nose, eyes, cutie mark were all in sharp focus. This was a pony the unicorn knew very well and cared for. It was the only way she would be in such focus in his dreams. Clear cut! The unicorn shouted, starting to shove his way through the crowd. He eventually broke free of the moving bodies, and Luna followed a few steps behind. She tried to approach the guard, clear cut, but was soon blocked by another soldier, who was faceless silhouette like all the others. Clear cut! Clear cut! Finally, the mare seemed to acknowledge his existence. She turned to look at him, but the frown on her face didn't fade. She marched towards him and pushed the other guard out of the way. Her eyes were a brilliant turquoise, like every other, and her glare threatened to bore a hole straight through the unicorn's skin. What are you doing? You swore allegiance to Nightmare Moon? Are you crazy? She's as bad as the changelings that attacked during the wedding. You're coming back here to my house right now! The unicorn tried to grab Clearcut's hoof, but she reacted with the training the guard had given her. Within moments, she had pinned the unicorn against the ground and was shouting sharply at him, her tongue at a dagger. You get back to the house. Curfew is in effect, and I'm on duty. Princess Luna. A voice from reality reached Luna's ears as he pulled herself out. The scene she had been watching faded, and the sights and sounds of the castle medical's wards came back into focus. She looked down on the bed, to a unicorn who was still enduring a restless sleep. Then she turned her head to see Shining Armor standing beside her. Were you able to find the little camel's odor? She asked. He nodded. Yes. And I was able to get some information out of him when we got the film and his camera developed. He and his partner Colm both work as newspaper reporters. They were trying to write a story about Nyx, or rather how Nightmare Moon isn't locked up in a jail, but is, instead, running free. They've been stalking my family for the past few days, and were even able to find a letter of pardon in Nyx's name. They honestly had their story, but Colm insisted they needed a picture of Nyx in her natural black coat to make ponies believe it was true. And how were they going to attain this picture? Luna asked as he turned to face the prince. Quicksnap, the camera's owner, said their plan was to sneak into the camera, hide his access for the pageant, and take a picture of Nyx without her disguise on. But then, when they realized Nyx still had her headband on while she was backstage, Colin started talking about catching Nix alone someplace, and taking the headband buff by force. Luna frowned her eyebrow as he flicked a gaze back at the unicorn in bed. And is that what they did? No. Shining answered with a shake of his head. Or rather, the photographer doesn't know. When Colin started talking about forcefully taking Nix's headband, Quicksnap refused to go any further. He left his camera with Colin, left the castle on his own. He waited outside for Colin to come out until he was arrested. Then let me ask you one thing, Shining. Do you recognize this unicorn at all? Shining moved up beside Luna, looked at the unicorn who had been found amongst the wreckage. He already had his own suspicions of who the unicorn was. But after getting a good look at him, Shining knew for certain. Yes, I do. He and Quicksnap were the ones that ambushed Cadence and Twilight the other day. His name would be Colin. Luna nodded. Yes. Well, the photographer told you aligns with what Nix told me. And she was attacked by some pony while she was on the catwalk. This unicorn, Colin, has something to do with what happened on stage if he was not, in fact, directly responsible. But what was his motivation? Shining Armor asked. Quicksnap said Colin would get wrapped up in his work. But he also said he never saw Colin go so far for a story. And why would he risk being arrested and tried for trespassing in a castle just for a story? Sometimes we don't understand our own motivations, Shining Armor. Luna says he turned to stride toward the door. I'm going up to the observation tower. I'd like you to join me up there after you do one thing. What is that? There's a lunar guard by the name of Clearcut. She should be on duty tonight. Find her and tell her brother is in here in the medical wards, and that he is in very deep trouble.